All-inclusive. That word actually used to mean something when you booked a cruise. You paid your fare, you walked up the gangway, and almost anything that mattered was already handled. Your cabin, your meals, entertainment, the kids club during the day so you can eat one dinner in peace, a slice of pizza at midnight, and enough free drinks around the ship that you were not reaching for your card every 10 minutes. Well, my friends, this is sadly not the case in cruise world in 2026. The fare still looks about the same on the surface, but underneath it, the cruise lines have spent the last year or two quietly pulling back things out of the package and stapling a price tag onto each one. And the part that should really stop you in your tracks is that the one cruise line that actually kept its all-inclusive promise just gave up on it too. I'll get to that one near the end because it's the clearest sign yet of where every single one of these cruise lines is heading. Hi, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. Now, I've made videos before about cruise stuff that I think is a flat out waste of your money, the extras that they upsell you that you barely even touch or use. This is a different animal. This is not about the stuff that you choose to buy. This is about the things that used to come with the cruise and now quietly do not. And if you spend any time in cruise groups online, you already know the temperature in there. The comment sections have turned into one long argument about whether cruising is even a good value anymore. And honestly, some of those people, well, they have a point. First, let's talk about gratuities because they never seem to stop increasing. The first place you're gonna feel all of these changes in the cruise structure and pricing is gonna be in gratuities. And 2026 has started to turn into a year of a wave of gratuity hikes. Carnival bumped up its daily rate up to $17 a person for a standard room and $19 for a suite. Princess went to $18 and even more depending on your cabin. And they also snuck in there an increase in its onboard service charge. We're seeing a lot of this too, where it's traditionally been 18% for things like drinks and specialty dining or even spa services. Well, most of the cruise lines now have quietly increased that to 20%. Holland America fell right in with its sister brands with its own increase, landing for sailings leaving on or after the 1st of June. So it's just starting to hit. MSC raised its hotel service charge too, and up in the yacht club, it now runs $23 per person per day on new bookings. And those are just the lines that have moved in the span of the last few months. Now, I want to be really clear on something because this topic can get ugly fast online. I am not anti-gratuity. I'm very generous. I keep my tips on, and I also tip in cash on top of that. I actually just made a video about that. And I'm the first to tell you that the crew on these ships, they work really, really hard, probably harder than most people that I know in real life. And they're often far away from home for months at a time. And their base wages are absolutely abominable. And the cruise lines get away with this. So that extra money matters to them genuinely. So my issue here is not the tipping. My issue is the pace. And it's the fact that cruise lines bake these increases in to subsidize the wages because they're too cheap to pay adequate wages for these crew. They also increase them consistently and gradually. And these increases often land by email very subtly. They sneak it in there, or it just appears on the website one day with a line about how the cruise line supports the crew. And maybe it does, but when 4 or 5 lines all raise rates inside the same few months, it stops feeling like a thoughtful adjustment and starts feeling like a coordinated nudge to see just how much we as consumers are willing to absorb before we stop booking cruises. So these things, they do add up. It might not seem like much, $1 here, $1 there, but for a family of 4 on a week-long sailing, that's a few $100 in gratuities before anyone's even bought a soda. Number 2, the drink package math. It just keeps getting worse. And with gratuities, you really can't avoid them. Yeah, you can get them taken off. I don't recommend doing that, but it can be technically avoided in some cases, but not in all. The drink package is one that I wish more people would say no to and they would vote with their pocketbooks, because this is going to hopefully enact change for the cruise lines and realize that people only have a certain tolerance to pay a certain amount of things. Now, here's where I have a slightly different vantage point than a lot of cruisers because I am not a drinker. I'll drink maybe 2-3 drinks a year, if that, but I'm just not a drinker. So when I look at a beverage package that runs 60, 80, sometimes over $100 a person per day, that math is never going to work in my favor. And I do love coffee, but I cannot drink enough coffee in a day. And plus it would be terribly unhealthy for me to drink enough to make it worth its money worth. And so I suspect for a lot of people too, the drink package doesn't work in your favor. I also have a whole video on that as well. Now, if you drink to serious volume every single day, even on port days, and you do that to break even and get your money's worth, then it can be worth it. But this one earned its spot because of where the numbers have been going in 2026. This is another one where we just see continuous price increases. Norwegian raised the gratuity attached to its drink package on its shorter sailings. Like I mentioned, it used to be 18%, now it's 20%, and that adds up. So Also, in the case of Norwegian, on a 2 to 5 night cruise, you're looking at up to $32 a person a day. That is the tip on the drink package, not the package itself. And it's landing on exactly where these short party booze cruise style cruises, where people are buying these things expecting a deal, they're definitely not going to be getting them. Norwegian has increased the gratuity on its drink package significantly. As I mentioned, these cruise lines, they keep going from 18% to 20%, so they're increasing the gratuity cost on top of the increase in the drink package cost. Now, my honest take is the same that it's always been. Always do the cruise math on your own habits before you ever buy any package, especially the drink package, because this is the one where I feel like cruise lines really take advantage of cruisers, and most people don't get the bang for the buck. And it's especially the case now that those prices keep increasing. And again, it's not just the gratuity, it's the base package cost as well. Number 3, believe it or not, they actually put a price tag, on the pizza. Now, there's a charge that feels weirdly personal because pizza on a cruise ship, that's been like a sacred thing in cruise world. It's the thing that always said, no matter what costs you money, you understand, the steakhouse is gonna be more, the drink package is gonna cost you more, but the ship, it's always gonna feed you. And pizza, it's a cheap, obvious, crowd-pleasing thing that's always going to be there, and it's always going to be free. Now, to be fair, the pizza by the pool, in most cases, most cruise lines, that's always going to be free. But there are some cruise lines that are starting to quietly eat away at even the sacred cow of the free pizza. Some cruise lines are now even, yes, charging for pizza. Or if you want pizza delivered to your room, you're going to pay a service fee. So when cruise lines start charging for pizza, that's how you know things are getting pretty bad. And that brings me to number 4. Yep, now they want a fee to bring it to your door. The food charges do not stop at the specialty or sit-down restaurants, but it also is incurred with room service. Room service used to be one of those small perks of cruising that made it feel fancy and elegant. You have 24/7 room service. You can call and order whatever you want, and the food was consistently good, and it's brought to you for free. It was amazing. But most cruise lines now tack on at least a service fee for room service if they don't charge outright for it, like Carnival when you order pizza for room service is one example, and especially late at night. And the options also, to add insult to injury, are very, very limited. And if you want one bellwether of where this is going in the cruise line industry, word is going around right now that Disney, yes, Disney of all companies, is quietly testing a room service charge on its brand new ship, Disney Adventure. Now we're talking about a $5 delivery fee plus that automatic gratuity on top of it on your lunch, your dinner, your late night snack, with only breakfast staying free. And that's how actually a lot of the mainstream cruise lines have moved in that direction. So for a long time, Disney has kind of been the holdout. Now I want to be careful here because Disney's own website still lists room service as complimentary, and the company has not officially confirmed any charge. So for the moment, it's just kind of the rumor mill going around, being reported on cruisers on one ship sailing out of Singapore. So I think they're testing the waters, but that's what they do. I was on a Royal Caribbean cruise back in the fall on Radiance of the Seas. I noticed that gratuity went from 18 to 20%. I asked them about it. It went back to 18%. And then now we're finding that 20% is the norm. But with Disney, this is really telling. This is a company that went decades without ever charging a guest to have a plate of food brought to their room. And that free room service was genuinely a point of pride for them, of saying all the other cruise lines, they're now charging for this and this and this, and they're nickel and diming you. And Disney carries a premium price tag. So if Disney is sneaking and trying this out, even on a single ship, you can bet every other cruise line is watching to see how we as cruisers react and how we respond with our pocketbooks. So yeah, a lot of the things in cruising that used to be free, they're not free anymore. And this is where they're nickel and diming us to death. Number 5, this one really sticks in my craw. Wi-Fi that costs more than your entire phone plan. Now, this is the one that just really frustrates me because, I have to work at sea. I am privileged to have a flexible schedule. I am an actual university professor. I teach online, but I have to be connected at sea. And of course, connecting at sea was never anything anyone seriously ever expected for free. I still don't expect it. And the satellite technology behind it is significantly improved the connectivity, and it is legit expensive to run. So I get that. But that said, the pricing has gotten a little ridiculous, my friends. Most cruise lines now charge per day per device, and those fast Starlink tiers can run you 25, 30, even $40 a day on some lines, which means you're paying more for a week of cruise Wi-Fi than a lot of you pay for an entire month of cell phone service. I have like 6 phones on my plan. I think my bill's like $240. So I'm paying more for just me to have one line on a long cruise than I do for my entire phone plan service. And to add insult to injury on this one, some cruise lines, with MSC being the worst offender, they lock it down. So when you buy Wi-Fi on one device, you can't switch back and forth. So when I cruise with MSC, I do appreciate the lower fares that they have, but I'm forced to pay for Wi-Fi twice on my phone and my laptop because I cannot switch back and forth. And that is really a frustrating thing when you already feel like you're being nickeled and dimed. timed. Number 6, the Kids Club after dark. If you're cruising with little ones, the next one is the one that's going to blindside parents. And I think it's one of the quietest changes on this whole list. Again, they love sneaking these things in, and this is one that really has flown under the radar. Now, the Kids Club was always part of that magic of a cruise for families. As parents, you get to drop your little ones off. You know that they're going to be taken care of. They're going to make friends. They're going to have a good time. And you get to actually go and enjoy yourself for dinner on your vacation. Maybe have a show. Maybe spend some time in the casino without kids underfoot. Now, during the day, that is still included for most cruise lines. And it's great that they've kept it that way. And I hope they keep it that way. But that after hours care is where the meter has started running. On Royal Caribbean, for example, the late night care for older kids that slot after 10 at night, it actually not only has a cost, but it's increased. It has jumped from $10 an hour per child up to $15. And the nursery for the babies and toddlers carries an hourly charge anytime you use it, anywhere from $9 an hour during the day to a couple dollars more in the evening. So you stack a few late night evenings on top of each other during a week-long cruise, and suddenly that quiet adult dinner is suddenly costing you more than a really nice fancy steakhouse dinner out at home. So I get why they do it. Late night childcare, it's labor. Labor is expensive, even though they pay their crew woefully low wages, which we talked about, and somebody's got to staff it. But for a family that booked a cruise specifically because it felt like one vacation where the kids are actually handled and you can enjoy adult things while the kids are cared for, finding a fresh hourly rate waiting after 10 o'clock, it stings a little bit in ways that you never realized when you read the brochure. Now, the move here is to look up your exact ship's youth program hours and the rates before you sail and try to plan your activities and your nights around the free window instead of being stuck paying for one. Number 7. Yep, even Virgin Voyages, they've thrown in the towel. And this is the one that I mentioned in the very beginning, and this is the one that really makes me sad. If you followed me for a while, you know Virgin Voyages has always been a cruise line I love. I got my one and only tattoo on Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady. I've always loved Virgin, and I appreciated that they did cruising differently. Their entire pitch was about being transparent. It was about being truly all-inclusive, being different than the other cruise lines, being more modern, not having all of these extra charges. You can go to their steakhouse at no extra cost. All the specialty dining is included. Soft drinks are included. That was great. And for a long time, Virgin was the living proof that a cruise can genuinely be all-inclusive and still be profitable if they decide they want it to be. But that promise, unfortunately, has changed. Under Virgin's newer fare structure, gratuities now show up, as a separate daily charge. And it's not cheap. It's $22 a person per day, or $20 if you prepay, where before that truly was all included. Now, to be fair to Virgin, they still are pretty good about nickel and diming you and piling additional gratuities onto your drink, not charging for the specialty dining, not charging for these things that a lot of cruise lines charge for. But the one company that built its whole brand on not putting a separate gratuity on your bill, well, now they do it too. And that's really frustrating. I was hoping that Virgin would pave the way for the other cruise lines to follow, but instead the inverse is true. And now Virgin is following suit to the other cruise lines who seem bound and determined to nickel and dime us cruisers to death. So I want to know what you think about the changes in cruising, the cost structure, and all of this nickel and diming. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Drop your comments below and let's talk ship.